Hey guys, it's Lu Paints, that miniature painting coach, and I'm getting back to my painting vlog where I'm working on the my own miniature and my own improvements of the things that we get, particularly with the color green, which I've been having some struggle with this miniature, which all that has been out of the way. And so far in this painting session, we are going to work on some of the blendings and the details, and I'll probably go ahead and touch true metallic metal on this sword in the next section. So probably in this episode I'll need to go ahead and do the dark areas and also to describe more of the details of the environment on the sword to prepare for that. Also an update, let me just unscrew my miniature over here. Two things, actually three things. The first one is that I didn't have electricity in my house yesterday. Yay! And so I had really wanted to paint, but I wanted to do some recording, but unfortunately I just decided to go ahead and experiment on the base to kind of see what I can fool around with. This isn't actually supposed to be anything. I was just kind of scribbling on the top of the miniature just to kind of get a feel of what I want to place it on, and it does seem a little bit interesting, although this is still not what I want in the end. And okay, so the second thing is I've actually started using this kneading eraser, or rather it's a blue tack, right? So I've kind of made a big ball out of it, so I can just kind of plot my grip on top of this, and I can just kind of tilt it accordingly to how the camera needs it to be. And I found in the, so guys can see here on my pot, there was some mosquitoes like just kind of laid eggs. I saw it's like what's mosquito larva doing in there? It's because I kind of left the water around, thinking that I was indoors and it wasn't going to matter, but somehow mosquitoes got in. So I need to be extra cautious of that, because mosquitoes in my country, I'm living in Malaysia, and they're pretty aggressive, so I need to be extremely careful of that. Now, right, so we're gonna work on the sword first and prepare the sword. The base is probably gonna be the last on the miniature, once I've gotten through most of the parts. And so we're just going to go ahead and lighten some stuff, saturate some stuff, and do some details to prepare for the whole. Because at the next stage, when we go ahead and place our metallics on, a lot of these colors are going to get desaturated, and so we need to prepare for that by making sure the colors underneath are saturated enough so they are visible, which is a bit of a challenge to do. And we're just kind of gonna draw some shapes on here to kind of accentuate the hair and the mostly to do with the back the background. Okay, there we go. We just want to get some simple blends to describe the surroundings and what's next to the sword. In this case, it's a hair, so we will need to blend out some parts to demonstrate that. Make sure we get a little bit of blue at the bottom. There we go. Let's go a bit closer. Make sure we get that sword visible right here. And over on the top side of the sword, I will probably cover up with a lot of metallics anyways, but let's just get this this nice little orange that we've kind of mixed up. Get it at the edge here. Get out of the way. And also we'd like to include a little bit of magenta so as not to make it too boring. Towards the end, cover up with this way, so that just cover it like so. You turn it towards like this, just kind of go at it really rough, because that's almost gonna be in dark. Just kind of place this gray on here and go with it through the top, because we don't really know what's on the opposite side. It's not being shown. We do know that we need to create a similar transition over here. Particularly, you can see the back of the miniature has not really been done yet. There's still a lot done, but for now I just want to focus on the front, because I am going to get this miniature to a point where I'm satisfied enough to submit it for a critic, because I have a couple painters that I want to receive criticism for with this miniature before I really go ahead and finish it up. And so those pieces of criticism will actually help me figure out the troubles that I have with this miniature, or some things that I might not see for myself. So I intend to push this miniature so far as I'm willing to push, and then kind of leave it for the people who inspire me to figure out what the issues are. This glob of paint is too thick, so let's remove it. Let's take another one, kind of fold it around, bend it in such way. Okay, and then over here we want to make a small little lighten out of it. Another one here as well, another one here. And the reason why you want to add those highlights is because you want to add this want to slowly add on a glare. And so the glare will be shining because there's a light shining from the top right, and you want to keep that consistent throughout our painting, like so. And when we go over here, we just want to make it a bit more specular, so we just kind of bend it around, and we want to make sure we just respect the shapes, so that when we turn the miniature later on, it's going to make more sense. And so there will be a lot of experimenting on my behalf. Just go ahead and place this blue over here, build it up to a turquoise, because we didn't have enough of a contrast towards the bottom and the top. So we just want to make sure we get a much more heavy blue to contrast it. You also want to add a little bit of green over here. We'll be adding a really small amount of yellow just to make sure we get it more defined over here in between. And to show that there's a bit of specularity for the coat, we'll just go ahead and make the sticker at the bottom, and then we will go ahead and put some very teeny bit of white, mix it on. We'll kind of let those dry for a moment. Spread this paint apart like so. And then we want to add this orange, because we want to add that hair moving along. So fly season and mosquito season towards the end of the year I'm from, so I need to be extra cautious of bugs just flying around, because there's like a fly flying around here at the top here. So I want to lighten this bit of green at the bottom. You can see that there's a much more better hue. Those streaks of, whoops, there's cat fur. There's a fly, oh. Sure. So cat fur and flies, wow. Okay, so let's just kind of blend this all in so that streak isn't too obvious, because right now it's standing out a little bit too much. We want to make sure to take this white that we have, mix it in here with this gray, and get it towards the top, but more importantly towards the bottom. So you have this kind of like a transition. Going at it really slowly. I've already kind of figured out what kind of environment she's in. She's indoors. And we want to make sure we add that black back in there. To really accentuate the border between the two parts of the sword. So I need to be extra careful about this part, because I don't want to undo the work I've already done. Here we go. There we go. Okay, we can fix up whenever we haven't later on. Let's add this and add those there. Put this here. And we want to blend that black out into a gray at the very top. So it's better to have true metallic metal done by doing a non-metallic metal underneath. And the way I'm going at it is I'm doing it really saturated under painting of the environment and the things that might get reflected. So I'm not really concerned as too much with the shape of the miniature, because I think where most miniature painters, they go at it for good reason, because it shows the shape of the weapon and it highlights the weapon as a weapon. But for me, I think it's more of an ornament with this figure. She's a sorceress, and while I mean we can expect that she's gonna take out that sword to fight, but just like Gandalf, but more likely than not, it's not a particular weapon of choice. And for me, when I want to decorate it as a fantasy miniature, I'd rather have it as a piece that complements the model. So I'm putting on these shapes to kind of show appreciation to the model that's being crafted here. I'm not actually sure who painted this, who sculpted this model, but I really like the shape of it. Notice how I'm just kind of freehanding my own shapes here. I'll need to get that black in again. Actually, I'll use a blue instead at the center here. It doesn't need to be too neat. So just go ahead and take it step by step. I really like experimenting in my own painting time, just because when I am doing the actual project in any of my paintings, and projects, by projects I mean any actual work or the paintings that I want to get done quick, and those I need to be confident about it. I need to know what I'm doing, I need to know what's going on, and they can get pretty boring. I mean, if I'm only painting what I know, it kind of takes the exploration of the painting out. And for people who are painting for the sake of wargaming, that's fine, I guess. for some. But from an art perspective, it's really boring to go at it in this way. So me, I like to explore, using my painting sessions to really explore, kind of see what we can do with the paint, how they flow, what shapes can we make, what illusions can we kind of conjure up. And once in a while we see like moments where the shape's kind of taking place into something that's just nice and beautiful, and like I really enjoyed it. This paint is a little bit too rough to use for Age the Sword, unfortunately. That white, it has been used up way too much. But with a little bit of coaxing, it should work. Although a bit dirty, which is fine. Just go ahead in tiny little bits. Tiny bits. I'm gonna bring back that blue back. Separate it like so. Going back to this highlight that we have, this bright highlight. Dragging those pink pigments down slowly. Let's go ahead and add on this glaze medium to it, and going a bit softly like this. Okay, and we actually have some really soft shapes there. Let's go ahead and make this lighter on this side. And over on this side we want to desaturate it just a little bit. Peel it out. Peel it down. Add this paleness over here. There we go. Add it towards the end of the sword. Make sure to tell the edge that it needs some color. Okay. Now we have a blue shape over here, so let's make that a little bit more interesting than it currently is now. And we can create a contrast with a magenta and orange, so I'm going to pick an orange. So we'll take a little bit of this orange here, and that's made of skin color and yellow and white, and we'll mix it into here. And then we will take a little bit of a magenta here and mix it in. Get something a little bit more orangey. Add it in like so, softly. Get a such small shape over there. And there is a blue over here as well. We want to get rid of it, so we'll add this orange here. There we go. Since it's mostly hair there, bring back the glaze that we created. The glaze of the sunlight, I mean. Let's bring back that white that we made. Sorry, accidentally hit the camera again. Still getting a lot of practice in doing this. Bring it up to the top, bring it up to the top, bring it up to the top, bring it up to the top. So noticing how I'm applying the white really softly here. And soon I will be placing a black on the opposite end, just to contrast it. But I need to make sure it's an outline so I don't remove the painting that I've done underneath. Okay, and then we want to lighten what's inside. we're kind of forming our shape now. Lightening what's inside. Step slowly. Creating a nice little small shape. Doing another one. And another one. And then we just want to lighten up this part that is made out of the orange, like so. And we want to move that green at the bottom here a little bit upwards. So it mixes with the one at the bottom. Okay. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Okay, and we're gonna leave that dry first, and then we're gonna mat it. Now, let's work on the back side, because I actually really like what's going on with the back. It's saturated enough. It doesn't really need any more changes to it. But we do want to make sure that we add in some space of lighting and whatnot, so that we can understand that there is a little bit of indoors environment going on. So first of all, we'll take the skin tone and we'll place it here. And I understand that's a lot, just fine, because we are going to mix our magenta and turquoise mix that we have that's kind of like in blue in here to make this gray. And we'll place it here as well. To make that gray a little bit more interesting, we will take our, oops, I actually have some, oops, be extremely careful not to poke into my baking paper. And in here, and then I'll take a little bit of magenta, and in here. You notice how it immediately becomes that purplish gray that I want. Take my glaze medium, take a lot more of it, and to this white mix that I have, just kind of pummel it, pummel, even it out, done. Didn't take that much time. Okay, so now just go ahead and paint. Oh, my cat. Okay, so just make sure we add a little bit more glaze medium. There we go. So we have this part of the miniature now, so you make sure to get that in focus. Okay, and then we are just going to add a shape to contrast the darks. Towards the center, and of course we'll go ahead and add our black line to differentiate the two sides later on. But we want to kind of draw just some shapes that might be a little bit interesting. It doesn't need to be too crazy on this side because it's in the shadows. One more pass at it over here. Down. Over here. And then down. And we want to make sure that there's a line connecting between this. Shape towards the top like this. Okay. And then after that, we'll draw on top of it something that's a little bit more of a reddish hue. Now, what about the hilt? We are going to prepare the hilt just enough by, we don't really need to edge highlight anything because later on we will need to make a pass at the we need to make a pass of metallic as the highlight, but for now we are just making sure that we create a lighter base coat for whatever we decide to put on top later on, including the inside of here as well. And now we have 5 more minutes in the video, so what good can we do with it? Let's add this black line in between. Have it fade down to the bottom. You're gonna continue on from the bottom meeting up. It's okay if it's a bit messy. Just taking it easy. Taking some white. Just glazing it at the bottom like so. Okay, at the top as well. Making sure the 2 areas meet. After this, we'll draw a black line. We'll leave that to dry. Let's come back to the front. And then, see this wood that we made the last time has a bit of a mess, which is fine. Just gonna glaze over it. And we can always come back to it in the detailing phase to finish anything up. It's okay if it's a bit grimy. I actually placed some of the white that I had on it, I think, while I was experimenting, just to kind of see what would happen and how does it stick to the model. There we go. That's fine. We are going to also matte everything down to make sure that we have a model that's a little bit easier to work with. Particularly the hair at the back has been hard to work with because of the non-matte surface. Let's remove this for a second. There we go. This yellow here. Okay, let's see what we've done. Now, we have actually done most of the colors on the sword. We have also done the colors on, I think, each side of the sword. And we didn't really need to work on this side because it was already, this side in particular, because it was already working well for us. This part of the miniature is so far from done, but that's fine. I'm going to make sure we finish on one part and then we can work on the next. Probably work the back side in my own time, and then we are going to, let's see how it looks like from the top. So if we look it from the top, the base is definitely a problem because the base should be a lot more darker, but that's really a sketch that I did. So if we just kind of cover it up a little bit, we can see that for the most part the colors that's being portrayed on the miniature is standing out as in contrast. Go ahead and get closer like this, and the colors are accurate. And this part is bugging me about the tassels. The tassels by themselves are also going to have true metallic metal kind of placed on them, which I'll kind of show directly in the next episode how that looks like. But let's make sure to get the orange in first, blend that in, and then thin it out a little bit towards the edge, like this. Just kind of let it go. Okay, so now, right guys, let's close this episode. Remember, to learn from others so that you can discover more of yourself. Alright, so take care.